Hi, everybody. It's Aggie with Agnes Friedlander Art Studio. And tonight I'm going to be painting some sunset palms with you. Sunset palms, plural. Anyway, I'm going to be using this fantastic image from Unsplash, and I shared the link for it. It's by Luke Bender is the name of the photographer that shared this really beautiful photo on Unsplash. And this is the inspiration photo that I'm going to be using tonight. I have created a tracer for members of the Painter's Journey. That's my online membership. I've shared it in the group. And so you can go grab that if you would like. I will be selling the tracer on my website, agnesfriedlander.com. I just didn't have time to post it there yet, but I'll post it by tomorrow. Hi, Christina. Welcome. Hi, Marnie. And it looks like everyone's hopping on. Yay. Little fun Monday night painting. I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day. Mine was really great. Just simple, relaxing. Hey, Carolyn. So I wanted to start off with a little bit of observation about palm trees and how to draw them, essentially. Okay, let's start with that. Because when I taught these in person, people would get nervous about trees. People just get nervous. Hey, Teresa, people get very, very nervous. And I just want you to know, don't be nervous. You can always paint over it. But I think if you have a little bit of an understanding of how to do the palm fronds in particular, the leaves, these leaves here, I'm going to just talk about these a little bit, and it's going to make it a lot easier for you. Okay. It's a little bit of maneuvering with your brush. So I would suggest you practice on on something that doesn't matter. Like I've got my sketch book here, and I use this a lot for when I'm teaching. So, okay, let's just get started. We're going to now when I do the lesson, when I do this painting with you in a few minutes, I'm using a 10 by 20 canvas, and I haven't even unwrapped it yet. And I did not gesso it. We're going to paint the background on first, and whatever beautiful streaky sunset colors you would like is up to you. I'll probably do something similar to what we see on the reference image from Luke Bender. That name is kind of funny. and we'll let that dry, and then this is what the tracer looks like. And you don't have to print out the tracer, but I do this in case you're somebody who doesn't draw. I encounter a lot of really lovely, creative women that want to paint, but this is what holds them back. And I don't want you to be held back by anything. So if it helps you, by all means, grab the tracers that I offer. There's nothing wrong with tracing. If you would rather use chalk, when we get to that point, you could use white school chalk. So anyway, that's that. So I just want to talk a little bit. Actually, I'm going to use this tracer. I'm going to use this because this is kind of showing us a little bit of the starting point of the kind of the structure of a palm tree. And it basically is like a flower. This is the stem, this is the flower head, and then there's all these petals that come off. And instead of painting it as a petal, we're going to paint eyelashes. This is how I taught it in person. Think of them as eyelashes, okay? Not too literally. You don't want them real curled, and nowadays people go crazy with eyelashes. But they're just think of it that way, that they all of those leaves come off of the eyelash strip. So this branch is like the eyelash strip. They have to touch that. Don't leave the leaf floating midair, not touching that, because that's going to happen. I've seen people do that too. So sometimes it's a matter of what not to do as well as what you should do. Hey, Liz. Okay, so let's just grab some dark colored paint, anything. Maybe I'll use some Payne's Gray. Let's grab a little Payne's Gray here. That's a fun color. You know, you don't have to use black for these silhouettes. You could use just a really dark, a dark color. It could be a, you know, a purple, and it can also shift from a cool color to a warmer color. So I've got Payne's Gray and Permanent Violet Dark, but you know, you could use brown, dark green, black, anything you want. And I'm going to start off with a round brush, right? And it's a liner brush. I'm dipping it in the water and just pull some of this out so you can see the color. Now you can use whatever type of paint that you have. I really do love Golden's fluid acrylics, but of course you don't have to use that. You could use your heavy body or medium body paints. You're just going to want to add some water to them so that they flow nicely. Anytime you're painting lines, you need your paint to really flow and not be thick, because then you're constantly having to reload your brush, and that's a pain. So as you're hopping on, please say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. My name is Aggie. I'm an online instructor, and I've been doing these Monday Night Lives. I've been having a lot of fun with them. How about you guys? Do you guys like these? Should I keep doing them? So I'm mixing the two together. And let's just do a palm tree. So let's just start, you know, with our trunk, right? Just paint a trunk. This could be our warm up, okay? Nobody has to see it. Don't worry about it. Not a big deal. So, you know, maybe it's just a really nice tall one like that. And then we've got this type of palm tree has this bit of a, I don't know what this thing is, this center gathering point type thing. I don't know what it is. And then I'm going to look at the reference image right here. Or here, I'll look at my tracer. I'm going to remove myself from the screen. I think this will work. And yeah, now we've got a wider view. So let me just scooch some things over a little bit. Okay, so just think of this as this one right here. Or, well, you know what? Let's use this one right here. Can you guys see this one? And then what we're going to do is just create some of these strokes that you see here. So that's like the branch, the palm tree frond branch, for lack of a better word. And I do want this to be a little bit thinner. So I think I am going to switch to a thinner brush. So I've got a smaller liner brush that I'm going to load up. It's not the greatest brush. It doesn't come to the greatest point. But I'm just going to, you know, pull some of these out of here. I guess it could be a little bit thicker, right? There's one there. Then there's one here. I didn't mean to make it look like it was coming out of the same spot, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about it. Here's another one here. Another one here. You can have some of them cross over each other like this, because some of them are actually foreshortened. They're kind of going back. Maybe this one's not foreshortened. This one has a little curve at the top, and then it comes down like that. Then there's another one. A couple of them look like they're just kind of going straight up. Okay, so there we go. We got all kinds of branches on there because we're kind of looking at this one. Okay, so now we're going to start doing the eyelashes. Okay, so basically you're going to take each one of these and work on them individually and pretend like it's the only one you're doing, like it's the only one visible. So they start out when they're closest to the trunk, they start out shorter and then they get longer. So what I want you to do is find what is comfortable for you, for your hand and wrist to make these marks. And basically, it's a quick swoop that's just, I'm pressing down just a little bit more on the eyelash band and then pulling up. Okay. Now for the top of it, I used to see people do this, and I don't want you to do this. They would do this on one side, and then they do this on the other side. And that's not really what it looks like. There might be some that look like that, but for the most part, they're going to look like this. And, you know, part of what we're doing as artists is that we are simplifying, we're giving an impression. So we want to simplify it a little bit. So for the top, I'm just going to do some over here, and they kind of go like this, and that's it. Now I have to do the one behind, believe it or not. Even though it's behind, I still have to paint every single leaf on that as if it's by itself. So there's going to be a lot of overlap, and that's okay. That's what makes palm trees so pretty. Okay, so there's that one behind. Then here's another one. Now, if I angle my brush just a little bit, I can get thicker strokes. If I hold my brush more upright, I get really thin strokes. Okay, and then I'm going to continue. I'm going to turn it and do this next one back here. And you get some cool effects if you let your brush dry out a little bit and get kind of a misty look on some of them. Okay, then the next one, same thing. They're all kind of going this way. So anyway, you're getting the idea, right? And you might want to look at your reference, because sometimes when this thing turns like this, the direction of the fronds changes also. And sometimes you do want some of them to overlap like it is on that one. Hey, Lynn. Now, another way that you can do this, and this is a little bit trickier, so you might want to practice it, is with and it depends on the size that you're doing yours at too, but you could use a bristle brush. You're just going to have to be a little more careful and strategic with it. So here's one. So like if I have my branch here, and I load up this bristle brush, I can do this. And it's kind of a turning kind of thing. And that one looks pretty cool, actually. So when the brush is really pretty dry, you get these really cool effects for a more hazy kind of look, I guess, really. So let's go with a brush that's just a little bit smaller, like maybe a dagger like this, and get some more painted in there. I want to kind of dry the brush off a little bit and just kind of place it down like this and then pull. It's kind of a twist of the wrist. I wasn't pulling up enough. My brush was a little too overloaded. And so it takes a little bit of getting acquainted with how much should I load the brush and at what angle should I do it at. So, I mean, you really do kind of need to practice. And if you can see, if you can tell, I'm kind of going along the eyelash band, as I'm calling it, at first, and then I'm curving it down, because that's going to help it make it look like they're actually coming out of that branch. You might even decide that you really don't want to put the branches in first, and that's totally fine. You don't have to. And as we start to get it more filled in, we're going to get a lot bolder with it. And we're going to, you know, just really fill it in a lot more. A little too loaded. You know, and feel free to turn your painting so that you're more comfortable. With it. I'm just going to fill this in a little bit more. And maybe now I'd come back in here and add a little bit more to this trunk. And the trunk usually has a little bit of texture in it too. Okay, so let me know, how does that seem? Does that seem like maybe you could do this sort of technique or one of these techniques? Comment below how that was. Hey, Lori, you just missed my demonstration, but that's okay. You can come back and watch it. So when I did this tracer, I did it with the intention that these outlines, these thin outlines represent, you know, give you an idea of how far down you should come with your brush strokes for those individual fronds, palm fronds. I have a hard time saying that word. So in other words, I'd start on this line and go like this all the way to that edge. Like that. Okay, that's what that's there for, is to help you see the shape. So when we're painting, we're really just putting down shapes that we see. Okay, so practice that on you know, copy paper, any old piece of paper. Christina says, I'm trying to draw it since I'm not ready to paint. Yeah, exactly. But I would say when you practice, Christina, you may as well use paint, because drawing it will help you somewhat, but this is so technique oriented that you really should draw it with paint. Because by the time you get to drawing it with paint, it's going to feel a lot different anyway. Okay, so now we're going to paint the background. Oops, excuse me. All righty. So I'm going to open up this 10 by 20 canvas. I've had this a long time. It says $9.99. I've never bought this brand. I don't even remember where I got it from. So it feels like a very textured canvas, a little bit different than I'm used to. Masterpiece brand, Vincent. Never heard of it, but that's okay. And I don't even know where I got it from. But anyway, it's a 10 by 20. They do have a website, masterpiecearts.com. Okay. So let's get some of our paint colors out. I do want to do something similar to this. And again, this is a reference image that I found on Unsplash. It's a beautiful photo by, what was his name? Luke Bender. And I shared the link for this photo at the top of the comments. You'll see it. So I'm going to do something kind of like that. So I think for that color sky, I put a bunch of white out on my palette, as you can see. All I really need is a tiny bit of a red, and I'll probably use my Pyrrole Red light and some quinacridone magenta or quinacridone red would probably work also. And maybe even a little yellow. Yeah, maybe a little raw sienna. But you could use any yellow. Okay, so we're gonna put down the warm colors first, and I'm seeing these warm colors towards the bottom. Oops. It's really only on the bottom, so let's get that on there first. I need to pull up a little bit so you can see this whole thing. Wow. Okay, is that pretty good? All right, I think I'm going to mist it slightly first, just to kind of help me. I hope this isn't a weird canvas. I've had this kind of canvas before, and it felt weird. It's just so grainy. Anyway, okay, I'm going to just go ahead and put some white down on here. So this is just white paint, and it is a heavy body paint. It's a Utrecht bright white. I really like this paint a lot. It's a strong it's white. I have found that Golden's fluid white, it's kind of got a low, it's not that opaque really. Okay, so I'm going to just do a tiny bit of quinacridone, tiny bit of the Pyrrole. See what we get with that. The raw sienna is nice because it's just a little bit desaturated, you know. Probably need this a little bit darker. Just trying to get just the right color. A little more raw sienna is doing the trick. That raw sienna looks really great with this. And I need to bring this over the sides too. So I'm going to take that color up a little bit further on the sides. a little bit further than where I have it on the front. Yeah, this is a very grainy canvas. So I have to work a little bit harder to get the color into all the little nooks and crannies. Oh yeah, using a sponge is a great idea. Get a bigger area done. Great idea. Yep, grab your sponge and have at it. Okay, it is just a little bit duller, but on the photo, but I kind of like it like this. So, so I don't mind that. I'm gonna just pick a couple other spots where there's gonna be a hint of this. And there's just a little bit of kind of a upward sweepy thing going this way, which I like. It kind of gives it just a little bit more interest and motion, I think. So we're gonna, it's almost like we're kind of repeating the palm tree motion. All right, I think I'm gonna do a streak of something just a little bit darker while it's wet. Just to kind of represent, it's gonna be like a little bit of a bank of clouds. And the more you keep stroking and blending, the more it just kind of goes away. So once you get it looking pretty decent, just leave it. Okay, I think that's enough to suggest some motion and stuff in there. Maybe a little bit of a darker corner down here I'd like. Okay, so now we're going to mix up some cool colors for the top. I'm going to dry this first. Let me get this paint out of my brush. This is reminding me of our lesson that we're doing this week in the membership. We're doing a sunset piece. Okay, so I pinched that warm color out of there, and I'm going to grab my paint gun and just hit this real quick. Anybody painting along with me? The first layer always dries a lot quicker. Did you know that? The more layers of paint you have on there, the longer it takes for the paint to dry. Okay, so now let's do a blue, and it really looks like it really looks different on camera than it looks on my iPad, but It is sunset, so I think we want it to be a little warmer. So I'm going to use some ultramarine blue. And it really does look cobalt to me. If you don't have cobalt, you could mix ultramarine and phthalo blue-green shade, you know, or teal or something. You definitely want to get all that warm color out of your brush so that you don't have a muddy blue. There's a tiny bit of red in there, but I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah, I really like the cobalt with it. Yeah, I should have grabbed a sponge, Lori. I don't know if I have one anymore. It seems like about the right value, maybe. I'm going to dip my sleeves in this if I'm not careful. Okay, add more white. So I'm going to work my way down. Okay, that white got a little bit, I mean, that blue and white mixture got a little too light on me. And having to do the sides does make it a little bit more challenging. So if you're a beginner painter, just don't worry about the sides. You know, you don't have to do them. So when I come right up against that pink, I have my paint, I have a little bit more water in the paint, and I'm slightly overlapping that. Here's just like water I'm using in between these areas. And I'm overlapping the pinky reddish color. A little bit thicker paint over here. And get your body in a position that you can do these strokes easily. Now remember, this is going to be a background. It doesn't have to be all that perfect. Got a little dot there, but I'm not going to really worry about that. Now over here, there's like a bank of clouds, which I would like to kind of get in here. So I'm going to grab some of this Payne's Gray that I had earlier. I'm going to use some of that. Because I want the clouds to be a slightly different color. And I guess they come in, got this tracer here. They come in right around here. Yeah. So now I'm going to switch to a smaller brush and kind of blend out these shapes a little bit. So I'm going to use like a 1/2 inch flat and make a slightly lighter version of this color, this grayish color. Grab a little more white. It's a little bit brighter. I did spray mist my white paint. It's getting a little dry. Okay, so I've got cobalt blue with white, but I'm mixing a little bit of that Payne's Gray mixture that I had. And I'm just looking at my reference, and I'm just going to kind of dab and soften. Basically what I'm doing is softening the edge of what I put down a moment ago. You can use your finger to really blend it nicely. Inside the cloud. You can add some kind of rounded edges here and there. So I'm softening where the two blues meet. I'm also softening it along the bottom. And then there's these little lines of clouds here and there. So they're thin and flat and horizontal. They're kind of fun. Okay, then there's some kind of more wispy clouds that come in. And you do have to be kind of loose for this. And I know not everybody is comfortable with this. But remember, we're going to have a bunch of palm trees in front of all this, so it's not going to show as much as you think. Okay, so that might be enough. At the bottom, there's some really cute, oop, I lost it. Some cute clouds that are just kind of getting cut off, but I don't think I'm going to include those after all. Okay. I might make just a couple areas just a little bit darker. Okay, and pull it off the edge here. Okay. So then I do see a little bit of the pink on the tip of some of these blue clouds and a couple of lightish clouds. And I know it's a lot more muted on here, but I like the color just a little bit brighter. This color got weird on me, so I might, hmm, I might just make that blue. Not sure yet, but I want to get a little hint of pink, a brighter pinky, almost like it's almost like a silver outline, but it's pink. So let's see if we can get that in there. Christina says she loves the clouds. Yeah, aren't they fun? Okay, let's use my liner brush. And of course I need a little bit more of that raw sienna. And I just really don't know if this is the right color. And of course, when we do this, we don't want to go crazy with it. It's just like some outline edges here and there. Don't go too crazy with it. I like what that did. Let's see. There's okay, maybe. And then it down at the lower down, it's almost wow. It's almost really white. So and this is, the somewhat abstract part, which, I love this sort of thing. There's a couple of really pinky, light pink things, areas. Okay, and then they get even brighter. So, if you did have any weird dots, you can always cover them up with this. Let's make a really pretty peach. There are some really pale peach clouds down here. Okay, it's probably pretty good. Okay, I don't want to go too crazy. Makes it look like the sun is behind the clouds. Yeah, exactly. That's what we want. Okay, So, you know, you can have fun and do more of that. We can add more of it later after we've added the, you know, the palm trees on here. But it gives you at least an idea of what you can do. So let's dry this now. And then we're going to trace our palm trees on here. So does this look like something you could do so far? Did it look too hard or anything? Any questions? I forgot about this weird color. Oh, maybe it's not that bad. I kind of made it work with these colors that are over here. So maybe I'll just leave it. My cord is blocking my view. Okay. So the paint was a little thick there. Okay. We're going to grab our tracer now and position that on here. And I'm just going to grab some tape. And like I say, if you're a member, I have shared this tracer already. If you're not a member and you'd like to purchase it, I will put it up on my website. Make sure you have it showing. And I did change these trunks a little bit from the image. You know, you can do that. I didn't like the weird bend that it had. Hold on, I'm losing power in mine. Oh, where did my little case go? My AirPods are dying. Oh, here. Okay. I got this one on. I need to kind of tuck this up in there to get that part. Okay, now I'm going to do this one. And this one. Okay, looks like I got them. I think I got them all. Okay, so I'm going to take this off. Okay, so here we are with our palm trees traced on there. And, you know, I'm going to mix up a dark color, but I'm not going to use black. I'm going to use, you know, this Payne's gray and, you know, like a purple color. And I'm going to start with this 1/2-inch flat brush. Add a little bit of water to this. You know, and I mean, we might decide to put a few different layers of purple on here, or, you know, whatever color we're using. So, you know, you could add a little bit of water to it. The nice thing about, you know, acrylic paints is we could decide to add some lighter layers on top of it, maybe even like a pastel. And I like using a flat brush for this. And I mean, this is one of those that you have to kind of trust the process, because it could easily, it just looks a little bit weird as you're working on it. And as you start filling in the palm trees, it starts to look better and better. So this one is a lot thinner. And, you know, you can use your flat brush the thin way or the a little bit wider. Of course, the more you press down on it, the thicker your lines are going to be. I know this looks very, very strange right now. And I like making these kind of horizontal strokes on the trunks. Really makes them look pretty textured and cool. Okay, so now we can do our branches that are going to come out. And I mean, I am going to follow what I traced on there. All right, so we got all of our branches on now, right? Now, I wonder if I could use this one. If you want to test out your flat brush to see if you could use it for the individual leaves, test it on an area where it's really got a lot of dense leaves, you know, where there's a lot of them. So let's see. I think I want to, because I could use a liner brush, but I want to try and see if I can, yeah. So if you can get your brush to do this, it does go a lot faster. a little bit of a turn, a little bit of a flick that I do also. Okay, so this is pretty dense and kind of straight right here. And then an important thing at the top is that oftentimes there's fronds coming down from a place we can't really see. So I'm just going to put that in now. We can't see the branch that they're coming from. And it creates that canopy effect. So there's the top. Probably do just a little bit of I may have overdone that. So we're almost seeing some of them on the other side. And then I think what I'm going to do is come back in with some lines that are going to be more noticeable. So, you know, on a branch like that where it's a lot of fuzzy lines, I want to have some of them really stand out. So I'm just making some of the lines a little more noticeable. Oops, that's a little too noticeable. Oh, I think it's okay. And as you can see, they get bigger and bigger. You know, it's easy to just keep adding more on. Sorry, I want to have my music on. Okay, so then we're going to continue. When do you know if you should add the fronds on both sides of the branch? Does that make sense? Yeah. Um, look at your reference. That's why it's just really important to add a reference. If you see a little bit, like here, I can see just a little bit on the other side, and just follow the angle, and less is more on these. You're almost better off not putting too much on the other side. You know, if you look at, like, on this one, there are some, but they're at a very different angle, so it's just very important. And I did talk about that in the opening session where I was explaining them, that, Lori. I don't know if you saw that part. Um, but mostly it's just observing from your reference. Does that answer your question? Don't make the mistake of doing this, which is what a lot of people did when I taught this in person. They would, here's the branch, and then we're doing this, right? So you can do them individual, but it's going to take you a while. Hopefully you can use the brush like I'm showing. And when I started talking about them being eyelashes and you have to kind of flick your wrist, people went a little bit crazy with that, and I had a lot of people doing this, you know. That's not what it looks like. It tapers, you know. It's kind of pushed down a little more when you're close to the eyelash band, and then pull up. It should taper. And the other side, just a couple at an extreme angle with a drier brush is all you need. What I saw people doing in person, and of course they were drinking. I taught paint parties for years. They would do this, and then they'd go back on the other side and do this. And it just did not look like palm trees. Okay. All right. So then, now this is all in one tone right now, but we can go back in and add more depth to some of these. So don't worry about that right now. What you want to do is get all of these fronds in. So I'm just going to continue. I think I want a slightly more muted tone. I'm gonna switch to, I'm gonna add a little brown to this to just make a kind of more muted tone. And I think I want a little white in here too, believe it or not. This might be too too light. Let's see how we can bring some interest into the trunks. Oh, good. I'm glad it helped, Lori. Yeah, I'm going to make these just a little bit I don't know, lighter, duller. And they're going to look a little farther away by doing that. Okay. I like that better. Okay, so now let's do this, see if this is going to work. You know, I can always come back and add more wherever I want to, right? Okay, so let me pull back. So it seems to my mind that the farther away the trees would be darker than those closer up. Can you explain the light reference a little more? Oh, that's just a subjective thing that I am doing. Things that are farther away are lighter. We get fooled by the contrast because the background is lighter. So since the background is lighter, you don't really need these trees as dark as these, if that makes sense. And I don't really want, I kind of want a focal point over here. Your eye will travel around over here, but I don't really want these guys to steal the show from these. You know, you have to kind of pick an area where you want the viewer to linger a little bit longer. And if everything has equal importance, it's just not as interesting, I think. So, and of course, you know, I may have made those a little too dull and light, but I can always come back in and add some darker values to that. I'm just having fun with varying it a little bit. And you know how I am about variation. Just like seeing a lot of variation. And, right here, this all just kind of fills in quite a lot. And you are going to wind up filling it in as you start putting all these branches in here. But, you know, you will realize that you kind of have to hold back a little bit because it can get so filled in that it doesn't have the lacy look anymore. So it does take a little bit of practice if you've never done these. I like the variation that I'm getting there. So this one has a little more visual importance than that one. This does need some darks put back in it. Okay, that might be enough. Not sure. We'll see. Okay. Hi, Barb. How are you? I feel like this needs another branch coming down. I think I will. So I think for this one, I'm going to do it without a frond, which, you might decide to do that too. You might decide not to paint the branch in first. So here, here's an example of one where I did not put a branch in first, and it kind of looks kind of nice. You could come back in and add the branch, like a sharp line in just a couple of places. Actually, I like that one. Let me get it closer so you can see. Was this one? So, you might decide not to draw these in. And what I noticed is if I do have these too dark, then I really have to put a lot of the leafy fronds in to cover that up. And sometimes I wind up filling it in too much. I like the laciness that I get. And that can be detrimental. So just another thing to think about. What if I can't master fronds with the flat brush? Would a fan brush work as well? Yeah, you could try a fan brush. You might run into issues with the curve of the fan brush. Um, Let me try a fan brush. See, because of the curve of it, it's not always gonna be curving the way you want it to. So in some places, the fan brush will be very nice. Like right there, it would work, right? Oh, I just made a drip. Let me get rid of that. So yeah, it just depends on the curve of the branch. You know, like there it's working nicely, but I don't know that it'll work for you in every instance, you know? Oh, I made it. I made a couple of drips. Okay. Yeah, I mean, um, you can definitely work with a fan brush on it, but the curve, like I say, I don't know how else to explain it. The curve might work against you in some instances. You know, because of the curve of the brush, it might not match the angle of your branch. Okay, now this branch, some kind of weird angles on this one. Okay. So, okay, now let's take a look at this, what we can do. My eye went right to these boom, boom, boom. It's too perfectly, there's like these spaced strokes right there that I don't like. So let me fill that in a little bit better. And maybe I will use the fan brush. Charlie. Charlie. Okay, that looks better. There's this big mass right here, which I kind of have going on. The other thing you could do is you could come back in and add some lighter sweeps on top. And you could put some hints of a warmer color on the trunk like I did. So maybe what I'll do is I'll use some raw sienna, since there is some raw sienna in the painting already, and mix that in with a little bit of that purple and a little bit of the Payne's gray. So it's just it's a warm version. And I just want to see what will happen if I put that in here. Yeah, I kind of like that. So I'm just putting like pieces of color. You could even put hints of a green if you wanted to. Let's try maybe just a little bit of this red. Oh, this is way too light. What if I mix that in with this? Just putting little flecks of color in. Now it might be nice to even take this and use this with the fan brush so that it's a nice thin yeah, that looks pretty cool. A nice thin line. And I'm only going to do that like in the focal point area. So I'm adding a little bit of white. So I can kind of make some branches look like they're in front of others by doing that. Just softening now a little bit. Okay. Let's see. What else do I want to do to this? um, so I could come back in and add a little bit more fun stuff in the background. The really light, stuff that we added, where the light is hitting, the sun is hitting. I want to do a little bit more of that. So here's just some raw sienna mixed with white. Now that I know, that tree trunk is there, I can kind of elaborate just a bit more, put just a bit more fun stuff in here. And since I do want that focal point up here, I think I do need to put definitely more of this up here. So see how that's going to pull our eye up there because of that strong contrast. So see how we can really play with that. The frond crossing over the tallest tree looks out of place. Oh, this one here? Crossing over? Oh, right here? So I'm just having fun with this contrast that I could add in here. toward the middle. The frond crossing over the tallest tree. Yeah, I don't know which one you mean. I'm sorry. Okay. I think it's looking pretty good. Okay, so I added these little light dots in there, and now I need to go back and kind of fix them because they weren't perfectly placed. But I might even use a little bit of black now after all. Oh, it's wet. Still wet. Guess I need to let that dry. So I could even add this dark, like kind of going down the middle. I like to put like a scratchiness in there. And believe it or not, it does pull your eye there just a little bit. This is a little too contrived, I think. Oops. Okay. I really like the end of this one. The other thing you can do too is you can use like a credit card and put little straight lines in there if you wanted to, like dipping the edge of a credit card into a color. But I think I have enough edging on there and stuff. So anyway, I think it's looking pretty good, especially if we're gonna put glass and resin on this. It's definitely got enough going on. I kind of feel like putting a little bit more black in after all, now that I'm standing up and looking at it. So I'm going to get a little bit more black here. And I'm going to use the fan brush. And just really kind of darken this up here. So I'm just darkening, getting that all a little bit darker up there. What type of glass would I use? Let's see. I don't know. I think I would try out. Maybe fiberglass on the trunks and in the center there, and then I guess I would try cutting something with a curve for the fronds. But it's almost like they need to be treated as groups of fronds. I don't know. That'll be something we'll experiment with that. I'll come back on next week and experiment with that with you guys. Or maybe I'll do that. I'll do that in the just for the membership. I think that's probably too much to do on here. I don't know how many people would really be interested in that. But anyway, this is how a good way to paint a some sunset palm trees. I hope that you liked this. Oh, you're welcome, Dolores. Fun. Do you think you're going to try it? I don't like how I see the branches there a little too much. So I kind of want to just cover that a little bit more. Oh, you're welcome, Barb. All right. Let me add myself back in here if I can. Hi. Hello, hello. Kathy, are you still there? I still don't know which one you're talking about, which friend you're talking about, or branch or whatever. If I point to it, will you tell me which one you're thinking looks weird? Hey, Monique. Let me go. Where did she say that? I just attempted your pumpkin video. I'm freaking out. I don't even know what pumpkin video you're talking about. Okay, the middle tree, this one, this tree. And what did she say? She said, the frond crossing over the tallest tree. Oh, so one of these looks out of place. Maybe this one? Does this one look out of place? Hey, Jill, I didn't even know you were in Oregon. You're gonna try this one? Good. Yeah, you've got to be. So this one looks out of place to you? Oh, I bet you because it has this straight edge right there. And when I look at the reference, I see that there's actually a branch coming in from this way that I don't have on mine. So, okay, now I see what you're saying. I think your eye goes there because of this very hard edge. Need to see the close up. Oh, you will be there in 36 hours. Okay. Oh, not this one? Maybe this one then? Looks out of place. Tell me if it's this one. All fronds seem to be behind the tallest tree except one. It doesn't look that way in person, you know? Hey, Latrice. Maybe because I have the light tones on this one. I don't know. Oh, you're on Facebook, so you can't zoom in. Why aren't you watching on YouTube? Actually, a bunch of you are watching on Facebook, or all of you guys are watching on Facebook. Okay. It's funny because I shared the link for YouTube. No, Lori's on YouTube. Lori, you're the only one watching, and Teresa's watching on YouTube. I think you guys are just, everybody's used to just watching on Facebook, always hanging out on Facebook, right? Yeah. All right. Well, it gives you a pretty good idea of how to do this, I think. I would suggest that you make your branches a little bit of a lighter color. I think I went a little too dark on those. And when those are too dark, it kind of can mess everything else up. That's one thing I forgot about when you're doing these. But you don't want to have to go back in and repaint the background. That is a big pain. That just doesn't work. So Yeah, and I think it'd be fun to add some coconuts in there, and we can cut glass and, curved glass and lay it on there, and it would look amazing. And of course, you don't have to do every single branch. Look at my hands. You don't have to do every single branch either. So that'll be another one that we'll just do. We'll do in the membership. I kind of feel like I want one more pink streak, but I better not. You know what? I have to. I'm going to make this a little bit pinker right there. Now, you know what? I'm not going to because I love those streaks right there. So anyway, I'll take a final photo of this and I will post the you use the scrubby soap. Good. You got it. Good. I know I'm going to go use the scrubby soap right now. So if you have any questions at all, be sure and let me know. Anybody watching, if it's your first time here, I really appreciate you watching. I am doing these free classes on Monday nights for a little while to build up, my my Facebook page and my YouTube page. And I'll probably leave these classes up for quite a while. But if you see them, you might want to grab them and do them now while they're up here. I don't know that I'm going to leave all of them up. And if you'd like to do more classes with me, I do teach. I have a membership. It's called The Painter's Journey, and you're welcome to check it out on my website, agnesfriedlander.com. And that's it, really. Thank you so much for hanging out. I had a good time doing this, and I would love to see yours. If you want to join I have a free group called the Glass and Resin Art Community on Facebook. You can join that and share your pictures of your sunset palms. Yay! All right, my friends, I am going to sign off. So thanks for watching. Let your friends know. Bye.